So my name is Norbert Haklik. I'm working for Red Hat. I'm an engineering manager for the pipeline value observability team. And I will tell you about how a hit on the head made me into a better leader. Before that, we will have to clarify something. If the title inspired you to have a takeaway that you are dissatisfied with your manager and you want to give him or her a hit on the head, then don't. So the talk is to inspire some behaviors, but that is not any of those behaviors. So let's see what this is about. The story started on a road bike on the way back from the Brno Lake. So I was riding a mountain bike for many years before, then I switched to a road bike. And I had the not so clever idea that on the road bike with these tires, I will be able to cross the tram rails on the same way as with the mountain bike. So what happened? The rail trapped the rear wheel, gravity stepped in, I hit the ground with my head in the helmet, of course, and then I felt dizzy for like 10 seconds, but still, after that, everything seemed to be all right. I was doing long, nice bike rides and feeling all right, until the point when I didn't anymore. So let's see a high-level timeline of what happened. So the accident happened on September 20th, last year. And on the 1st of October, I caught COVID. I went through COVID very quickly and easily, except for the fact that after that, the fatigue remained, and I kept coughing. Actually, I started to cough more, and I started to have headaches, which I never had in my life ever before. Fast forward 1 month ahead, 1st of November, the symptoms aggravated so much that I had 24/7 headaches, which of course didn't let me sleep either. Pills didn't help it. And I started to have high blood pressure, which I also had like 3-4 years before when I had a very stressful job, but I got rid of the high blood pressure by doing enough cycling, for example. And I had a very low pulse as well. And the coughing was present almost all the time. And then 18 days later, November 18th, I was driving my son to the preschool when something very weird happened. I was driving my car on a 2-lane street, and suddenly I realized that, oh, this street has only 1 lane. Yesterday it was really different. Then I realized that something very bad is happening in my head or somewhere. So we went to the neurologist with my wife. The neurologist did a CT scan and then ran out of the room when they got the results and said that you are not going anywhere. You have a chronic subdural hematome. That means that the tissue between your brain and your skull is bleeding, sometimes slowly. My case was slow, sometimes faster. And they have to operate me to save my life. So they drilled 2 holes into my head, released the blood actually. And then I had plenty of time to do a retrospective. So I had 1 week in the hospital recovering, and then I was thinking about if there is any lesson learned from this, maybe in private life for sure, but also maybe in professional life, besides the obvious one, know your hardware. So these are the lessons learned from this exercise that I want to share with you now. So the first one, listen to that headache. How does that translate to our technology work? Use your alerts, because a headache is actually an alert that your body is sending to you. Now let me ask a question. Who in the audience had a headache during the last 24 hours? Thank you, keep it up. Who had a headache during the last 1 week? Okay, more and more. How about the last month? All right, thank you. Now keep your hand up if you have a chronic subdural hematome as well. Okay, very good. So what is the moral of the story here? For you, maybe if you have frequent headaches, a headache doesn't necessarily send a strong alarm. I mean, it's almost business as usual. For me, who haven't had it ever before, it should have meant that something is going very wrong. So this means have your alerts, but also define your SLAs. Know when it's when it needs to be actionable, and it's also good to know how you action your alerts, so have your standard operating procedures in place. And actually, this is exactly what we are doing in my PV observability team. So that was lesson learned 1. Then the second one, root cause analysis. So what is a doctor doing when they are trying to work towards a diagnosis? They are working towards having the root cause, finding the root cause for your symptoms. Now, there are several different ways to do it. One way to do it, and actually not the best one, is the 5 whys method. Why is something happening? You get to an answer, then you ask why about the answer to the first one, and then you drill down to, well, as 5 whys suggest, to 5 whys. And if you see the image here, symbolizes the 5 whys method with slingshots, which look like a Y letter, right? And there is another similarity as well. With a slingshot, you can shoot into one direction only. So it's either a hit or a miss. If you hit the right root cause, then, oh, good job done. But if it's a miss, then you need to start the whole thing all over again. So actually, you are losing time. And as the example shows, time can be very precious sometimes. Whereas a much better method is the 5 whys. Not the 5 whys, but the fishbone method. In the fishbone method, you try to you start your investigation in different directions at once, which means you are not losing time. And also, most of the times, the root cause is not one single thing that you can point out, but it's a combination of different factors. Now, with 5 whys, it's kind of harder to capture that. With the fishbone, it's the right method to do it. So I can recommend that one over the 5 whys for sure. Now, so something similar. And I need to talk about the doctor's experience here as well. So I went to my general practitioner when I started to have those heavy symptoms, and I told him what happened, that I had COVID, high blood pressure, low pulse, and so on and so on. And I also told him that I had a hit on the head a few weeks ago, so maybe we should explore the neurological path as well. And he said, look, you had 3 years ago, you had high blood pressure. That's already present in your history. Let's handle the high blood pressure first. If you still have headaches afterwards, then I will send you to the neurologist. So what happened is that the doctor was using the old school risk management, which is assessing the risk along 2 variables, which is the impact of the risk and the probability that the risk actually will turn into an issue. Now, what the doctor missed is a third thing, which I think is very important, to ask yourself also, especially when it's a high impact, low probability risk, what can I do to mitigate it? If it's something easy, then do it, because you just tick the checkbox, you cut one loose end, and maybe that's actually making your life easier. So what could have been done here? Very low effort thing. He would have to send me with a referral to a neurologist, and maybe could have saved me some weeks of headaches. So that's for risk management. Also another lesson learned. So I went, based on the GP's recommendation, I went to the cardiologist. The cardiologist did the checks, and he said that, well, your heart is working really well. I see no issue here. I said, still, there is something going wrong. Can you please send me to a neurologist? I told you, you're fine. So what happened? The doctor was exactly working in a siloed way. And what happened a few days after my cranial surgery, my wife, who's very vocal about things, especially when she doesn't like something, went to the same doctor for a standard checkup and told the doctor about the story that, you know what, my husband was here 1 week ago. You said that everything is fine. Actually, 2 days ago, they drilled 2 holes into his head because it was necessary. And the doctor answered, sorry, we are treating hearts, not heads here. To which my wife answered, well, I thought you are treating humans. So that symbolizes for me the downside of a siloed organization, because what a siloed organization creates, you are working with your assumptions based on your professional focus. As they say, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So that's exactly what is happening. You ignore the broader context and you are missing things. So silos can kill your business or even kill you. Avoid it. Work against it. So what my clever wife also did is a very good problem-solving method. She organized the knowns and the unknowns. So what were known? There was a hit on the head, there was COVID, there was a long time ago a history of high blood pressure. There is no cardiological reason for the symptoms. Still, there is also low pulse and coughing. So the message there was like, most probably the direction that we didn't explore yet is the neurological reason. So I contacted a neurologist, made an appointment, but actually it was after the date that turned out to be my surgery date afterwards. And what my wife also did, this very nicely structured facts that she gathered, she loaded it into an AI chatbot. And what the AI chatbot produced as an output, actually that was a point of enlightenment, because it created clarity on why is there the high blood pressure, the low pulse, and the coughing. And the answer was something which is called Cushing triad. And that's a condition that comes exactly with these symptoms: headache that doesn't pass, high blood pressure, low pulse, and coughing or breathing issues. And it's caused by increased pressure on the brain, which is caused by, we are almost doing 5 whys here, which is caused by sometimes by a tumor, or is the outcome of some injury of the skull. As it turned out a few days later, that was exactly the case. So the lesson learned here is that you can use AI not only to produce really cool-looking curtain-like images for presentations like this, but if you feed them with the right input, which is structured and meaningful, then actually it can help a lot with correlating facts, working with big data, identifying patterns, capturing anomalies. So actually it's a perfect tool for medical diagnosis. So I just hope that they will increasingly start using it the right way to help doctors, at least for recommendations. So these were the lessons learned, but there is maybe a higher level takeaway as well. It is worth from time to time to do a retrospective like I did in the bed in the hospital, to think about actually the parallels or possible crossing points between life, like real life, and work life. Because most of the times you will discover that there are some lessons learned or techniques that you can reapply between the two of that. So if you do that, then you can spare yourself from lots of headaches, and maybe you will not even need the hit on the head to arrive to some good learnings. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you. And do you have any questions? No question. Yes. Bueno.
How you're actually experience your skills? So you're being the best of the leaders, so any measurement?
Well, part of my team is sitting in the row before you, so maybe you should ask them.
I won't ask them.
Yes. Well, I think it's, the consciousness, doing things that we usually do, but knowing it's more why we are doing it. Yes, please. That's a very good lesson learned. So for the record, our colleague says that this is an evidence that married men live longer than single ones. All right.
I want to point out that in many companies we are focusing on generating lots of data, but not addressing actually what the good analysis data make informed decisions.
Yes. So about so the question or the remark was about not only generating lots of data, but actually using the data, and that goes back to SLOs and SOPs and telemetry. Yes, very good point. And we are out of time, so thank you very much for coming.